authorize the uniformed military to detain or arrest protesters in Los Angeles?
Senator, I would just start by saying you're not a protester if you're throwing concrete
100%.
at law
Arrest those
enforcement
people.
officers.
Throw them in the jail. 100.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given very clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us. Be a man. List it out. Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is a...
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's Freedom Forge. Today, we're diving into a Senate hearing that's got a lot of folks, especially on the left, up in arms, no pun intended, about the use of our military here at home. Now, I watched the full exchange between Senator Elissa Slotkin and the Secretary of Defense. And let me tell you, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in these so-called concerns about the military and law enforcement. So let's break it down, patriot to patriot.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I said in your hearing, when you had your confirmation hearing, that my biggest concern with you at the helm was the potential use of the military in ways that contradict the Constitution or that taint what I hope we all want, which is an apolitical military. And when I asked you about whether you would accept an order that was actually given to your predecessor, Secretary Esper, Trump's SecDef, to deploy active duty troops against unarmed protesters and to, in Secretary Esper's words, shoot at them, shoot at their legs. You said this was all theoretical. Here we are, a few months later, you've deployed 4,700 troops to Los Angeles and against the wishes of the governor. And my colleague across the aisle was right. It is the first time since 1965 that we have deployed Guard troops without the permission of the governor. In all the instances he laid out, the president had sent in the military to protect protesters, not against the protesters. So you may dismiss it, but I feel like this is a fundamental issue of American democracy. If you love your country and you want an apolitical military, then it should be the last resort, not the first resort in our country to use them. So to get to the non-theoretical, have you authorized the uniformed military to detain or arrest protesters in Los Angeles?
Senator, I would just start by saying you're not a protester if you're throwing concrete
100%.
at law
Arrest those
enforcement
people.
officers.
Throw them in the jail. 100%. But what you're doing is something different. Everyone knows this is a political decision, right? So we don't trust that you're using the best interests of the military, certainly, and of democracy on top of that. So have you given the order? That's all I want to know. It's not theoretical. For the U.S. military, not law enforcement. They can arrest all day long. That's their job. Do they have the ability, the uniformed military, to arrest and detain protesters currently today? It's a yes or no thing, authority.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given very clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us. Be a man, list it out. Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is a fundamental issue of democracy. I'm not trying to be a snot here. I'm just trying to get the actual, did you authorize them to do that?
All of these orders and what they're sent there to do are public. They are there
so
to...
say it. So say it. Yes or no?
I'd like to.
Please, yes or no?
As I've said time and time again through interruption, they're there to protect law enforcement,
do they have
ICE
the ability
officers
to arrest?
who are trying to do their job, deporting illegals who were allowed in by the previous administration.
So they cannot arrest and detain citizens of the United States, the uniformed military.
As we've stated, if necessary, in their own self-defense, they could temporarily detain and hand over to ICE. But there's no arresting going on. And you know this better than you're trying to play political games. There's no arresting of U.S. personnel.
Of the U.S. military against members of the protest. Have you authorized U.S. military cyber tools to investigate people participating in these protests? Yes or no?
Certainly in no way that I'd be aware of.
Okay, that's good. I love that answer. That's great. Have you given the order to be able to shoot at unarmed protesters in any way? I'm just asking the question. Don't laugh. Like the whole country. And by the way, my colleagues across the aisle.
What is that based on? What evidence would you have that an order like that has ever been given?
Giving that order to your predecessor, to a Republican Secretary of Defense, who I give a lot of credit to because he didn't accept the order. He had more guts and balls than you because he said, I'm not going to send in the uniformed military to do something that I know in my gut isn't right. He was asked to shoot at their legs. He wrote that in his book. That's not hearsay. So your poo-pooing of this, it just shows you don't understand who we are as a country, who we are. And all of my colleagues across the aisle, especially the ones that served, should want an apolitical military and not want citizens to be scared of their own military. I love the military. I served alongside my whole life, so I'm worried about you tainting it. Have you given the order? Have you given the order that they can use lethal force against honor? I want the answer to be no. Please tell me it's no. Have you given the order?
Senator, I'd be careful what you read in books and believing it, except for the Bible.
Oh my God. So your former predecessor, I guess that's not enough for you. Okay, on Iran. I don't think there's a debate. There's like a cat fight going on in your own party about whether to go after Iran. Have you commissioned any day after planning? So any force protection, any use of ground troops in Iran, any cost assessments? Because I don't think we doubt what we can do as a country in the attack. It's the day after with Iraq and Afghanistan that so many of us have learned to be so deeply concerned about. Have you authorized day after planning?
As I've said, we have plans for everything, Senator.
Okay.
First off, what are we really talking about? Senator Slotkin is grilling the secretary because, get this, the military was deployed to Los Angeles against the governor's wishes to help restore order during a time of chaos. She's worried about the so-called politicization of the military and keeps asking if our brave soldiers are being ordered to arrest or shoot at protesters. Let's call this what it is: leftist fear-mongering. The left wants you to believe that the military is about to roll tanks down Main Street and lock up peaceful grandmas holding signs. Folks, that's not reality, and you and I both know it. Let's look at the facts. 4,700 troops were sent to LA, yes, but not to round up innocent citizens. They were there because the city was out of control. Businesses burned, people attacked, police overwhelmed. The governor sat on his hands, and the president acted, thank God. Senator Slotkin harps on historical precedent, whining that this is the first time since 1965 troops went in without the governor's permission. Well, sometimes you need to act when local leaders won't. The federal government is supposed to protect the rights and safety of all Americans, not just play politics with blue state mayors and governors. She tries to corner the secretary. Did you order the military to detain or arrest protesters? He explains very clearly that the military isn't out arresting regular citizens. If someone's throwing concrete or attacking police, that's not a protester. That's a criminal. And you know what? If law enforcement needs backup, that's what the Guard is for. The left loves to paint every law and order response as authoritarian. Slotkin even references the old myth that President Trump ordered the military to shoot protesters in the legs. That's been debunked, but she repeats it anyway, hoping you'll buy it. Let's be honest, nobody in the chain of command is telling troops to shoot innocent Americans. That's not who we are. Our military isn't some banana republic militia. The secretary even says, no, there's no lethal force being used on unarmed protesters. But the left doesn't care. They just want a soundbite for their next fundraising email. Here's what gets me. The left claims to care about democracy and the Constitution, but they don't want to enforce the laws on the books. When cities are burning, when criminals are rioting, suddenly they want to tie the hands of everyone who can stop it. The military and our National Guard have one job in situations like this: restore order, protect property, and defend the innocent. The secretary says it outright. They're there to help law enforcement. If things get out of hand, sure, they can temporarily detain someone attacking them until the proper authorities arrive. That's just common sense. But the left wants to spin this as fascism. No, folks, fascism is when you let the mob rule and the government turns a blind eye. Then, out of nowhere, the senator pivots to Iran, asking about day after plans for military action. Again, the secretary says what every competent leader says: we have plans for everything. That's what you want. You want your military leadership to be prepared for every possibility. But the left wants to make it sound like we're on the brink of World War III if we even think about defending American interests abroad. Here's where I stand. I want a military that's strong, respected, and, yes, apolitical. But I also want leaders who aren't afraid to use the tools at their disposal when American cities are under siege or when our interests are threatened. The left wants to second-guess every move, call every action authoritarian, and tie the hands of those who keep us safe. I'm glad we have leaders who are willing to step up when the going gets tough. I'm tired of politicians who care more about optics than about order. And I know most of you watching feel the same way. If you love this country, if you support our military and law enforcement, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. Drop a comment below. Do you think the military should only act with the governor's permission, or should the federal government step in when local leaders fail? Stay strong, stay free, and God bless America.